Welcome on to the channel. I am your host Guac, and this is Ichigo A1. A lot of you all know that I have started up this YouTube channel probably about a year ago, and I haven't really been consistent. But this year, later on in this year in 2024, I have a couple of ideas and really passion projects that I am really amped about. One being this one here. And so, without further ado, let's just really begin this video. Since we just got a Nintendo Direct recently, which was honestly probably one of the better directs of the past, a very promising one that featured a Donkey Kong remake, and finally Metroid Prime 4, which is something that I have been waiting for so long. I know a lot of fans have, and it is really good to see that we are finally getting the next installment of the Metroid Prime series, which is something I may do a deep dive on and just a little bit of overview on. But for now, I really want to talk about the Mario and Luigi franchise, since the latest entry in the franchise is actually slated for November 2024, called Mario and Luigi Brothership, which is a whole 7 years after the last entry released in 2018 on the 3DS, called Bowser's Inside Story. Now, I really want to go back and talk about a game I am very fond of, a game that I spent many hours playing in the car and as a child, sneaking to play in the middle of the night, hoping that my parents didn't just barge in my room and hear that sweet classic 1632-bit sound coming from that GBA. I just want to really shout out my cousin Marcus. I didn't really have a lot of money growing up. We were really impoverished, but for some reason he always came through with the latest and greatest system, and when he got the SP, I got the GBA. And when he had gotten the first fat DS model, he gave me his red Game Boy Advance SP, which I loved and had a lot of fond memories with as well. But I really want to talk about the first installment of it, which is Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Yeah, but first, let's just really begin with a little bit of background of the a creation of this franchise, as I will be talking about the original 2003 version of the game, and later on in the video I will tackle just a little brief portion of the 2017 remake, which has its own little updates and adds an additional side story. But for now, I'm just really talking about the original Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, and the first installment of the beloved series. So to really begin, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga is a 2003 turn-based role-playing game developed by Alpha Dream and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy Advance. Alpha Dream is a Japanese video game company which was founded in the year 2000 by Tetsuya Mizuno and Shikaro Fujioka, which is a spin-off company of Alpha Star, which was a staffing agency that dealt with the staffing of construction work. Now, how they transition into video games, I'm not necessarily sure, but that is probably a video for another day, of the rise and fall of Alpha Dream, which is something that is on my bucket list of making. But just right now, I'm just really focused on the Mario and Luigi franchise. But anyway, back to video games. They have created numerous games for Nintendo on the Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Nintendo DS, 3DS, and Switch. And their first game being Koto Battle Tengai no Moribito, which was on the Game Boy Color, which is something akin to like Yu-Gi-Oh or like Pokemon from my research. And after that, they created two more video games called Tomato Adventure and Hamtaro Rainbow Rescue for the GBA, which is something that I have somewhat of a vague memory that I played. And then doing some research on here, like I feel like I really did play it, or I've been on YouTube a long time, looking at videos from a lot of good, quality creators, and it's something that I just probably saw. But if anything, back to Mario and Luigi Superstar, their third game of the year in 2003, they had released. So now to talk about Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, this is a turn-based action RPG, and it isn't really something new to the Mario franchise, as we have two other um, RPGs, which is Super Mario RPGs Legend of the Seven Stars and Paper Mario, respectively, which is the first and second installment of it. And this one really is more so a spiritual successor of the game of Super Mario RPG, which honestly I really did that they did a bang up job for. Now, Super Mario Saga, just to give a little bit more in depth, like I said, it was developed by Alpha Dream, and they have some really notable people that actually created the game. It was directed by Super Mario RPG's director Yoshi Mikawa, and is said to be the inspiration from the Nintendo 64 game Paper Mario. Now, the two games actually do share some sort of similar graphics and gameplay, and the producer of the game, Shigeru Miyamoto, which is the creator of the Mario um, franchise, actually helped produce this game as well, along with Tetsu Mizuno, like I said, and Shigeru Miyamoto. And as we all know, the voice acting of Mario and Luigi in the game was provided by Charles Martinet, which we all know is an incredible voice actor who sadly retired last year and did not voice Mario in the new latest Mario game, Super Mario Wonder, which is a beautiful game, a great game, and I recommend checking that out. But for the time being, let's just focus on Super Mario Superstar Saga. And I know I keep saying Super Mario, I'm sorry, Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga. Now, it was actually unveiled at an E3 in 2003. I don't know why I said it like that. I'm sorry. In 2003, we are in 2024, and I don't know why looking at my notes I said 2003, but 2003 is when they definitely unveiled it, and they did a little bit of a campaign there. There was a playable demo, and later on, actually, the demo was actually dumped and leaked online in October 2023, which is like 2 decades later, which is crazy. But anyway, in August and in September of 2023, there was a playable demonstration which was, available at the European Computer Trade Show, at the Games Convention, as well as the Nintendo's Gamers Summit. And so they had a really really good press of the game, and a lot of people were really really digging it. I know that at that time I was looking at a couple of the trailers, and I was really really getting sort of kind of mesmerized about the quality of it, especially on such a small handheld. But that was pretty much all the press release for it, and it did release in late 2003. Now the story follows a goodwill ambassador from the Bean Kingdom and her assistant, and they arrive at the Mushroom Kingdom to bring a gift from Queen Bee for Princess Peach. However, it turns out that the act was of deceit, and the ambassador and her assistant are actually villains, revealed themselves as Cackletta and Fawful, which quickly steals Princess Peach's voice and escapes with it into the sky. After that, Toad alerts Mario and Luigi, in which Mario frantically is running while Luigi is actually tied to him. He's like literally carrying him, and he actually they end up meeting Bowser, and basically they have a little battle. They like fight, but Bowser doesn't really feel comfortable kidnapping Princess Peach, as she has like this very volatile vocabulary, which is pretty much akin to, like, I would say, growing up watching SpongeBob and like that episode with them swearing and expressing themselves in a very vulgar manner, I will say. And you can just hear all the dolphin noises and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what is really going on here. And Mario and Luigi ends up go setting out on this adventure into this kingdom, trying to rescue Princess Peach's voice. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the story. I could go into depth on it more, but I don't really want to spoil it for anybody out there. Even though the game, I know, was released in 2003 and had a re-release in 2017. So honestly, if you hadn't really known the story by now, there isn't really anything spoiling it. I mean, obviously Mario and Luigi save the day and they beat Cackletta and Fawful. But I really want to dig in deep and actually talk about just the actual mechanics of the game, which is something that they really took as their own. The battle system, basically, to like start a battle, you are walking into the overworld, and Mario or Luigi must touch an enemy, and they can perform a first strike by jumping and or hammering the enemy in the overworld. Respectfully, this will damage or stun the enemy before the battle starts. And since the game is a turn-based RPG, Mario and Luigi and enemies take turns attacking each other. The players can use good timed attacks to deal more damage, and if Mario and Luigi takes damage from enemies in the overworld, um, or if their backs are touched, they trip and are able to move until their turn. So they do have a couple of different little nice little mechanics, I would say. Like you can get the jump up on them, or as well your like enemy can get the jump up on you, and you can either lose a turn or you can either inflict more damage on the enemy, something that you actually really see in more games now. I know I play like Tales of Arise and stuff like that, and pretty much the same mechanic from 2003 is being played now in 2024. But besides all that, I really want to dive into the stats too as well. And so each brother has their own respective stats. You have your heart points, you have your bros points, you have your power, you have your defense, speed, and something called stash points. And when you finish a battle, you can gain experience in those respective fields. Level up and become stronger. So to really just like break down, we all know that HP or like hero points is your life meter. Your BP, which are your bros points, pretty much indicates how many times Mario and Luigi can use an attack, and it can also be restored by using items as syrup jars and golden mushrooms, or either like a 1-up star, something that we will also talk about later on in this video as well. Power, which is basically how strong either Mario or Luigi is, and obviously the higher their power stat is, the more damage they will inflict. Defense, which is pretty much self-explanatory, but it is how much damage either Mario or Luigi can block from an enemy, and the higher their defensive stats are, the less damage they will take. Speed is really how fast Mario or Luigi are, and if an enemy actually has a greater speed, they will attack first. Something as you see in a lot of RPGs. Prime example, Pokemon. Like if their Pokemon has a higher speed rating overall, they will go first, and if you have a higher speed rating, they will go first. So pretty much that. And stash points is something really unique to Mario and Luigi. The higher their stash stats are, the greater there is a chance of a critical or a lucky hit, which will either double the power, and it will also lower the price of items bought at shops and increase the worth of items sold. Um, actually, and now to really talk about your four main options of like battle that Mario and Luigi has. You have a solo move, you either have a bro attack, you can use an item, or you can run. Now, solo moves is either something that, like I said, Mario or Luigi can do. It's their basic attack, and both bros have um their own solo move. You can get other different solo move attacks as you progress in the game, but that's basically your like first thing. Other than that, you do have a bros attack, which is Mario and Luigi, and you can basically use them together to deal more damage to your enemy. And they have different combinations of different hits, and there are 3 different modes present for each bro attack. Mode 1 consists of a slow motion and a visual button, a command appearing when the command needs to be pressed, and it also acts as a guideline for players. Mode 2 removes the slow motion functionality, but retains the visual button commands. And mode 3 removes both the slow motion and the visual button commands, and in turn, it will use fewer bros points and are used for bros attacks, and depending on the move, it will deal more damage. And so that's basically the gist of their moves. Now you can also use items in the game, which will either heal you, give you a boost of attack or like power, or either revive. And there are a list of numerous different items in the game, something that I will talk about just probably a little bit later on in this video. Not really a whole lot to really talk about, but you do have like refreshing herbs, mushrooms, nuts, super nuts, ultra nuts, super mushrooms, stuff like that. So I guess we don't really have to cover those later on in the video, but pretty much that is a gist of the items in the game. And you also have the ability to run. Now the running thing is something that is slightly different, from a lot of other JRPGs, which you can lose coins, and it is actually easier if one of your um, bros, either Mario or Luigi, is actually down, because it will actually help you out into running. But you will lose coins in the game. So that is something to just really, really look out for. I'm not saying that I ran from a lot of battles, but there were times where I was tired. I didn't really feel the need in order to continue playing, or I was like dozing off, had school in the morning or something like that. And running is something that was needed, especially if you're low on HP. Besides that, functionality in the game and the battle system in which that I do want to tackle is actually avoiding attacks, and this is something that really sort of kind of, I wouldn't say revolutionized, but actually they really put their own spin on the turn base, in which in the game you can pretty much completely avoid enemies attacks. Mario and Luigi can either use their hammer or jump moves to avoid enemy attacks, with their jump move and or with their hammer, like I stated. And yeah, it pretty much constantly made you you know glued to the screen, because it wasn't like I know, like I play Pokemon and stuff like that, they attack and I'm like, okay, cool, bet, I can go grab a little fry or a drink or do or whatever. But in this game, it's just right there, and you're like literally in it the entire time, which is something that I really loved, and thought that it was really, really a nice addition to it, something that wasn't there in like previous Super Mario JRPG entries. Now, I really want to talk about the item shop in the game, which is Castletown's item shop, which is found on the east side of the Beanbean Castletown, opposite of the fashion house. And it sells a variety of consumable items. The price really varies with the applied discount here and there, if you have more stash points or not. But it's really pretty much open as soon as you enter the town, even when it is in ruins, and it obviously does update with different items as you progress in the game. Like I already mentioned, you have mushroom syrup, refreshing herbs, but as you get more into the game, and you get one up supers, you get max syrup, you get max nuts and ultra syrup and stuff like that. So that's really pretty much it of the items in the game. um there isn't really anything else to really talk about on that, but for the most part, um that's really basically it. Now I do want to talk about the remake. Like I said, the remake of Superstar Saga was actually a release on the Nintendo 3DS, called Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga plus Bowser's Minions, which was announced at E3 2017. I really do miss E3. But anyway, the remake features updated graphics, maintaining on the use of sprites, but with the additional lighting effects akin to Dream Team and Paper Jam, as well as a remastered soundtrack and various quality of life improvements that were introduced in later entries of the series, such as the ability to save the game at any time and to fast forward cutscenes, among other things. The game as well features amiibo functionality and tied to the existing Boo and new Goomba and Koopa Troopa figures as well. So the game was subsequently released in October of 2017 worldwide, basically. And like I said, the plot of the remake is pretty much the same as the original, with some additional storyline called Minions Quest: The Search for Bowser, which follows Captain Goomba and features a real-time strategy battle system. To just really summarize it, it is a real-time strategy battle you know mode, and it really follows Captain Goomba, and you pretty much recruiting other um characters in the game in order to fight back against Fawful and just save Bowser. Now along the way, you do save the Koopalings, and you end up pretty much repairing the airship. And at the end of this side story, you end up battling Fawful, and Fawful end up pretty much retreats back to Cackletta, in which you obviously fight at the end of Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, in which subsequently they are defeated by Mario and Luigi in the game. So from what I saw and from what I read, it is a pretty nice side story, cutesy, pretty nice. I haven't played it, but it is something that is on my bucket list that I am really wanting to go back to. So, like I said, this year I will be playing the Mario and Luigi series just so I can get a more personable refresher on it, and really play some of these games that I haven't really taken the 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 time out to play. Sorry, I stutter. But besides that, I just really want to talk about the reception of the game, because the GBA version was universally acclaimed. I mean, on Metacritic, it received 90 out of 10. I mean, a bunch of the websites gave it like 5 out of 5 stars. I mean, Game Informer rated it 9.5 out of 10. It was really, really a good like game. Honestly, a lot of people praised it. I do know some people did critique it. They didn't really like how shallow some of the characters were, but I mean, this game was really geared towards children. So at the end of the day, I mean, if I can recall back as me being a kid, I loved it. I would give it 10 out of 10, hands down. The 3DS version actually dipped. It received 81 out of 100 on Metacritic. But it's still like, honestly, really, really fared really, really good. It dipped some, but I mean, overall, everybody seemed to love it. And I don't necessarily know the reason why as they gave it a lower rating. I think it just probably was just like fatigue and then wanting something new at the time. But I mean, overall, I'd say this one is a winner, honestly. And that's pretty much it of Mario Superstar Saga. I might do like an actual live gameplay of it, may or may not. I'm not sure. It just really, really based on scheduling and whatnot. But this is a pretty much a general overview and synopsis of the game. I would go into more detail in terms of the entire story and what goes on, but it's a very cutesy game. I love it. I do recall like very, very early in the game, you meet like the jumping bros or something like that, and you do like this jumping mini game or something like that. Really, really nice. They do have side quests in the game which really don't matter in terms of the overall story of the game, but it does add a little bit to it, which I do love, just the charm and charismatic of it. But that's it. That's the first game. It's Mario and Luigi Superstar Saga, which honestly followed that up by Partners in Time, which was released in 2005 on the Nintendo DS, which is another game that I have fond memories of, especially when I got in the DS from my cousin Marcus. Shout out to you again. And I will be doing a little bit of a dive there too as well. But thank you all for joining this video, listening to it. Hopefully you gained some knowledge on the game, and I look forward to um, talking about the next installment of the game. So please, if you liked it, check out some of my other videos. I know right now it may not be a lot, but I do have some videos on there. I have some Final Fantasy. I bought something from actually another YouTuber a year ago called Jacob R, in which I did like an unboxing, because I just did like a random video game lot from him, which I quite enjoy. That video was like an hour long, so you don't really have to watch it all the way through, but if you do, thank you, I appreciate it. And like I said, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, let me know how you feel about the Mario and Luigi franchise. If you have any video ideas, let me know. I'd be greatly down to hear those out. And yeah, like I said, thank you all, and stay tuned for more.